Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Living to Learn. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch today's video. And before I get into this, I want to remind you of a couple of things. Number one, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Second thing I want to remind you of is that in the description of this video, you will find my handle for TikTok and Instagram if you want to follow me on those platforms for more content. It's also a way for you to reach out to me directly if you have any questions or you just want to make some suggestions or anything else. But also in the description, you can donate, you can invest in my channel financially if that's something that you want to do. I really appreciate all of your support. Thank you for taking the time to watch these videos. That means a lot to me. I don't make them for myself. I make them for whoever can benefit from watching them. So thanks so much for taking the time to do so. I want to make today's video shorter than normal. You know, the idea about keeping things short, trying to keep it under, 10 minutes, it didn't just come from nowhere. I remember one time I went with a friend of mine to Fuller Theological Seminary, and we went to go hear a professor of his. He went to Duke Divinity. It's a theological, it's their theological school there at Duke University, and one of his former professors was going to be presenting. He was going to be speaking that day. And I remember the guy said, I'm aiming for 20 minutes. And I was fascinated by that. He ended up going a little bit over, and he kind of laughed at himself a little bit, but I still thought it was great. And I just remember taking away from that, like, man, if you could say everything you need to say, if you could present your message, your argument, your case, whatever it is that you're presenting, if you can do that in a short amount of time without having to sacrifice the how do I say it, the meat, right, of your content, the important message. That message is still getting across when you can do it in a short amount of time. To me, that's brilliant. And so I took that I took that away that day for myself, and I tried to model that, especially on these videos. These days we have a very short attention span, and I say we because I'm in that same boat, right? These phones, social media, everything that's coming to us so quickly. We're used to getting things so fast that our attention span is not. I don't think it is what it used to be. And I'm not here to talk about that or bash on this or that, this generation, whatever. That's not what I'm here for. But I mean, I would say that's a fact. And maybe it's always been like that, but that's something I've noticed about myself. So I try to be mindful of that when I make these videos. Like, hey, listen, just get to it, man. Like, get to the point, get in, get out, leave people with something to think about, something to take away, something that they can kind of, for lack of a better word, marinate on. You leave that meat in the marinade overnight. It soaks up the juices, soaks up the flavor. You cook it, and then it just tastes amazing. So I'm hoping to give that type of content to you. Now, I want to share something that happened with me the other day, and this is what sparked the subject of this video. And one of the things that I find most important that I've learned over the last, I'd say, 10 years is just more of an awareness of myself and some of the things that I may never have engaged with if I had never started working down this path that I'm on now, of really trying to understand, like, what is it that I need to learn more about with myself, and how do I engage with what I have to offer? How do I do this? So the other day, me and my youngest son we took a drive. He's like, Dad, I want to go on an adventure. I was like, all right, let's go. And with kids, man, it's fairly simple, right? They want to go for a drive, and here we are. We're in my city. I grew up in the city, and it's not a small town, but it's not a huge city either. There's about 45,000 people here, surrounded by bigger cities, right? If you know anything about LA, if you know anything about the greater, Los Angeles area, Los Angeles County, you know what I'm talking about. You know how things are laid out around here. But anyway, I grew up here, and I said, son, there's places, there are streets, there are neighborhoods in this city that I've never been. Like, I just, you had no reason to go there, so you didn't go. So I said, do you want to go check out some of these places? And he was like, yeah, let's go. So we went. And we're literally driving down streets, cruising around. We're going into places, we're going down streets I've never been before. Now, I grew up here my whole life. I've been in the city most of my life. Lived other places for some time, but found myself back here. I've always been home. This has been home. And so I've been here. But these streets, these areas I've never been to. And here we are, me and my youngest exploring. We're just cruising around, we're having a good time. I'm sitting there in dad mode. I'm getting this, thinking about like how special this is, how important it's going to be for me to have these memories and this time, right? Because our kids don't stay little, right? They grow older. And I started thinking like, man, I've lived here my whole life and I've never seen this. I've never seen this street. Didn't know this was here. Didn't know this house was here. And I find myself starting to get fascinated, right? We're just cruising around. It's not a big deal, but then again, it is a big deal. And I just started thinking to myself, like, man, how often does that happen to us? We get so used to certain things. We get so familiar that we forget that there's things that we're unfamiliar with. We forget that there's more to see, there's more to discover, there's more to find out. Places we thought we knew, there's actually more to it. There's actually more there that can be found. And as I'm thinking about this, I'm also thinking about my nieces who are graduating high school this year. And just like my nephew who graduated last year, I look at them and I just think to myself, first of all, it takes me back to when I was that age and when I was in that stage, coming out of high school into life, right? The beginning of adulthood. And I'm looking at them and, it's like a mix of emotions because I'm very proud. I'm very proud of them. I'm proud to see them accomplish this. I'm proud to see them get here. Not everyone does. Nothing's to be taken for granted. I'm glad to see them, confident in themselves and happy and looking forward to life. But also a little anxious, a little worried as an uncle. Because I know what lies beyond that road. I know what I used to think. I know how linear I used to think things were. You make a plan, you have an idea, you move towards something, and that's just how it works, right? One thing after another. In reality, life is a road that you can't guess it. You can be going straight for the longest time, and all of a sudden a left turn out of nowhere. And you better make that turn. And the road just starts going all over the place, and you don't understand what's going on. Such is life, the unpredictability of it. And so I'm really just kind of overwhelmed with a lot of these different, thoughts, these feelings, these emotions. And I boil it down to this. I'm going to narrow it down to this, that we can learn, we can gain, we can build from so many things if we're willing to do so. I'm a firm believer that you can learn from anyone, from almost any situation. I was learning from a little kid. We're cruising around the city. It's not even a big deal. We're going to the car wash. But I took away so much from that moment. And it made me think. And see, this is the idea behind Living to Learn. I want you to think. I want you to really get those wheels turning. It amazes me how many people I come across. And I get to spend even a limited amount of time with, and I get to observe them. I see their brilliance. I see their greatness. I see so much, and they don't see it. Where my gift lines up, and where my contribution lines up, where my thoughts and my process lines up, is when I get to see that, and I know I know that I have the ability to point that out in someone else. And you know what it came from? It came from the ability of someone to show me, someone to draw that out of me. So I say all that to say this. There's so much to see. There's so much to find out. There's so much to discover, even in places you think you already know. It can all be new. It can all be reapproached, revisited, reobserved. Don't sell yourself short in this life. We just can't afford to do that. And I'm here to give you that reminder. And I hope I'm also here to point out things in you, to make you maybe spark an idea, a thought that would lead you to begin to see things, even especially yourself, a little bit different. That's all I want to say today. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate the support, the views. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit. And I hope you have a great day.